Dear colleagues, participants of the conference, I want to thank you primarily to the government of Montenegro on behalf of the Ombudsman Office in Montenegro for invitation to this conference from the aspect of implementation and protection of the rights of all the citizens of Montenegro, primarily the rights of sexual minorities in Montenegro. Before my statement, I want to say a couple of remarks regarding the organization of this conference. We think that the agenda of the conference was not designed in a proper way, and based on this agenda, you cannot conclude what is the objective of this conference. Before my statement, we have Mr. Duško Marković, Deputy Prime Minister on behalf of the government, Mr. Minister for Minority and Human Rights, Mr. Dinuša, and also the Mr. Kojičić. But none of them was talking about the real position of the LGBT population in Montenegro, so it's a little bit awkward that at the last session on Saturday in the afternoon I'm talking now instead of talking about that at the beginning and stimulating the discussion on the topic. Then we have now the absence, the boycott of the NGOs, the 26 the most distinguished NGOs with which the Ombudsman Office has excellent cooperation. I think that the government of Montenegro should organize this conference in consultation with the groups to which this conference relates to, which equality should be promoted after this conference, and to find a compromise not to have the boycott of the NGOs who, according to the researches which was done by the Ministry of Human Rights and Minorities, have promoted the most the rights of the sexual minorities in Montenegro. In democratic countries, the opinion of groups to which the conference relates should be taken into account. I would also like to comment the statement of Mrs. Lunacek, who said something like that. She's the European MP. Now I would like to point out to the opinion of my institution on behalf of the position of the LGBT. We already have done annual report regarding the protection of all the type of discrimination based on the sexual discrimination, which was reviewed by the Montenegrin Parliament, and also we are currently working on the semi-annual report on the state of human rights regarding the protection from all types of discrimination in Montenegro. This report is part of the action plan of the Parliamentary Committee for Human Rights. The rights of sexual minorities in Montenegro still are not fully implemented. They are in contrast with the traditional beliefs of the patriarchal society. The implementation of full rights of each citizen should be organized in line with the European and world legislation in this area. In the second half of 2009, Montenegrin and general public was a little bit stirred up after the statement of the Minister for Humanity and Minority Rights, but the issue that was until that practically a taboo became very visible in the Ombudsman Office has made certain statement regarding this statement of the Minister. The Ombudsman, in different statements, was very critical of these comments made by the Minister Dinuša. The law on the ban of discrimination actually, in Montenegro, we have excellent legislative framework for the ban, protection of all the types of discrimination. We have the law on the ban of discrimination that was adopted in July 2010, which, among other things, has designated the Ombudsman Office as a central body, central institutional mechanism for the protection against all types of discrimination, including the discrimination regarding sexual discrimination and gender. So what are the novelties of this law? I will tell you now. Now the Ombudsperson Office will be in charge regarding the activities, not just in cases of discrimination, not just regarding discrimination made by the government bodies or local governments or other public bodies, but also discrimination made by the natural or legal persons. And in the annual report, we have the obligation. We have a special chapter within the annual report which will be dealing with the protection against discrimination. According to the new law on Ombudsperson Office, which was recently adopted, we have possibility to file charges on behalf of discriminated persons and also to be part in the court proceedings with the consent of the discriminated person. We had so far 8 reports regarding sexual orientation. We also initiated before the Constitutional Court one provision to be reviewed regarding the constitutionality. We also one applicant actually renounced his charges because he left to the government of Montenegro to find a compromise solution regarding his charges. Eventually to adopt the law on same-gender marriages. Also, one initiative was launched regarding the changes of textbooks for the primary and secondary schools because of the violation of the rights of the LGBT persons. 2 reports regarding the against the police of Montenegro. We have eliminated we have solved this problem within the procedure. Then we have the action plan for the fight against homophobia 2011-2015 that was proposed by the Coalition for the LGBT Rights, and we participate as the Ombudsperson Office in this coalition. We gave the support to the government of Montenegro for the adoption of this action plan. Recently, we had the establishment of the LGBT Progress Forum. Then we had the delay of the Pride Parade because the civil sector said that the government of Montenegro hasn't provided adequate support for the Pride Parade. At the same time, when the government has adopted the action plan, we have the work of this NGO as the Visible LGBT Forum Progress, and this is the first, and the president, chairman of this NGO is the first person who publicly said that he is a gay person. So, talking about freedom of expression, of association is very topical, especially in the in summer months when a lot of pride parades are being organized throughout the world, trying to express the violation, point out to the violation of the rights of LGBT population. Government has been overwhelmed with a lot of initiatives regarding the protection of the rights of the LGBT population, and NGOs were actually saying that the government was rejecting all these different initiatives. Government hasn't allocated any resources for the protection of the LGBT persons. The NGOs have tried to organize the Pride Parade in the May of this year. The Ministry for the Minority Rights actually didn't want to help the organization of this parade, but the organizers didn't consent to that. They wanted to have the support of the top politicians. Deputy Prime Minister Mr. Marković actually had a discussion with the LGBT persons, and he promised his support, but they failed to overcome their differences and to agree the organization of the Pride Parade, and that is why the Pride Parade was postponed. Ombudsperson, based on the communication with the LGBT Progress Forum has increased its own awareness about transgender persons in Montenegro. In order to increase the awareness of the community regarding these persons, we should launch a campaign. We should develop capacities of NGOs regarding the LGBT population. The researcher of the violation of human rights, Mr. Zekovic, has done detailed analysis of the treatment of LGBT persons in Montenegro, and he's saying that actually the government of Montenegro is very good regarding the change of name of transgender persons. In any case, the practice of Montenegrin authorities is in line with the practice of the European Court for Human Rights. The ombudsperson thinks that the psychotherapy, hormone therapy, and surgical treatment regarding transgender persons should be covered by the government money, by the government resources. According to the survey of the NGO SEDEM, some 63% of citizens in Montenegro think that NGOs are protecting the most the LGBT persons, but only 11% of citizens is actually supportive of the Pride Parade as the right of association. These data are not good for the system which is based on democratic principles. Government has to provide support to the gender equality of all the persons. The Ombudsperson Office actually is of the opinion that discrimination of the sexual minorities exist, and the small number of reported cases doesn't mean that we do not have discrimination. This small number of reported cases is because of the awareness. So we have to change the awareness of the citizens. Therefore, the Ombudsperson Office is supporting the organization of this type of conferences and trainings, both for the government employees and for the general public. Ombudsperson Office also has undertaken a number of activities in order to protect the rights of the sexual minorities. We had several meetings with the NGOs involved in these issues, and we also had meetings with the representatives of the sexual minorities and discussing their problems. So we were discussing potential cooperation and joint activities in order to improve the status of sexual minorities in Montenegro. I was talking on different roundtables and debates that were organized in Montenegro, and also the conference that was organized in Belgrade, and I would also visit Vienna and then Sarajevo the same month on different conferences, which are conferences organized by the Council of Europe regarding the rights of sexual minorities. I will just tell you some activities that we have undertaken in the last 6 months. Conference Montenegro, Bright Point at the LGBT map organized by Juventus NGO in April, organized by the NGO Juventus, and the support of the UK Embassy to Montenegro, EU delegation to Montenegro regarding the action plan to fight homophobia. I was one of the panelists. I was also the host in the TV show Reaction regarding the topic of stigma and discrimination in Montenegro. And then also some shows at the TV Atlas, Balkan Express. I also gave some statements, and at Radio Montenegro as well. I was invited by Mrs. Lunacek. I was a panelist at the working lunch debate. Together with Mr. Cimbaljević, I was one of the guests at the one TV show where we discussed the Pride Parade. We had the representative of the Ministry of the Human Rights and Minorities, police as well.
31. maja u organizaciji Centra za
In
građansko
May,
obrazovanje,
organized by the Center for the Civic Education.
čiji su organizatori upravo bili Pravda na Balkanu, Pravda na Balkanu, jednako za seksualne manjine. Bila sam takođe panelista.
One of the panelists at the conference.
Zaštitnika na temu LGBT prava.
The topic was LGBT rights, freedom of association, and sexual stigmatization. Also, I was one of the panelists at the conference regarding the education of the LGBT persons and many other events.